I had never heard of Brave Fencer Musashi before seeing the completionist video on the game, but it got me interested enough to play it. After having played the game, I found it to be good, but not great. There were some game mechanics that I didn't really enjoy that much, but after playing the game, I did become really interested in the sequel Musashi Samurai Legend, which was developed and published by Square Enix. Before playing the game, I knew nothing about it except that some fans of the original game didn't seem to like the sequel. However, I was willing to give the game a fair chance, so after having played the game, what do I think of it? Is it good, bad, or just meh? The story starts off with a princess named Mycia, whose world is under threat by Grandrake and his followers. As a way to help save her world, she summons Musashi, a legendary hero, to fight against Grandrake and his forces. In order to help save the world, Musashi must save the mystics. And in all honesty, that's about it. The story is super simplistic and really doesn't do a good job at setting up the villains, as at the end it seems to be hinted that Musashi and Grandrake have some history between each other, but this was never explored before in the game. Plus, Musashi himself isn't very interesting. In fact, there are moments when he can actually get rather annoying. However, there are colorful characters that Musashi can interact with, such as some of the villagers, shop owners, and the maidens. It's not a horrible story, but at the same time, it's not a great one either. Musashi Samurai Legend is a third-person action-adventure game, where you will play as Musashi. The city Anthium, which sits on the back of a flying whale, will act as a hub world for Musashi. Here, Musashi can save the game, buy items and accessories at one of the many shops, and teleport Musashi to one of the dungeons on the world map. Anthium contains 3 different floors, with some unique shops on each of the floors, such as a blacksmith where you can upgrade your katana, an arena where you can refight boss monsters, a kid who sells collectible cards, and a shop that appraises rare items you will find on your adventure, just to name a few. These shops will become available once you have saved the people who run them, as when in dungeons you can find these glowing blue spheres that once collected will free the people inside them. When you're not at the hub city, you will be in one of the dungeons. It's here in the dungeons where Musashi can fight off enemies. When fighting enemies, Musashi is capable of locking onto the enemy and can even learn new combat skills from them. To learn these skills, you will have to wait for a gauge to fill up while locked onto the enemy. And once the gauge is full, when an enemy readies their attack, there will be an exclamation mark over their head, meaning that you can then attack them and learn their skill as well. You'll be able to learn multiple skills from many different enemies. However, you can only set one skill at a time, and skills take up NP to perform. By killing enemies, Musashi will earn experience points and can level up. And when leveling up, Musashi has the ability to choose which stats he wants to grow. Dungeons have pretty simple layouts and aren't too hard to navigate, making things like treasure chests pretty easy to find. Chests will often contain healing items or items that will enhance Musashi's abilities, like being able to double jump, walk on water, or climb up walls, just to name a few. Musashi will also have a second large sword and can earn new ones throughout his adventure, like the Sword of Fire and the Sword of Earth. These swords have their own special skills, with an elemental swords having skills that are useful in boss fights and getting past certain obstacles in dungeons. However, the controls used to activate these skills is kind of awkward. Boss fights are challenging but usually fun and fair, with the drill golem however being the worst fight to me. If you happen to die in a boss fight, you will respawn at the start of the fight with full health, which is helpful. In fact, if you die, you'll respawn at checkpoints scattered throughout the dungeon, but with all the EXP and money you've earned. Every now and then there are moments in the game where Musashi will have to carry a maiden while fighting off enemies, which sounds annoying, but thankfully you can still fight while holding someone. Plus, they can't get hurt, so you can just leave them and go kill all the enemies first if you want. And on even rarer occasions, there are moments where you'll have to ride a vehicle. However, these moments are so rare that they have very little impact on the game. They aren't bad, but they're also not that great. The end game consists of a lot of boss fights and no save points, so keep that in mind once you reach the end of the game. Visually, the game looks great. The cell shading looks really good, as character models and environments are very colorful and are nicely detailed. Character models have a nice animation to them as well. The very stylized art style may turn some people off, but I found it to be a nice and unique look. One problem with the visuals is that the game has some serious moments of dropping frames, which can get rather annoying. Another area where the game kinda lacks is the voice acting, mostly in terms of Musashi. Sure, some of the side characters are decently voiced, but Musashi has a horrible voice actor and some rather cringeworthy lines due to some very dated slang terms. As for the music, well, it's good. I wouldn't say any of it really stands out, but none of it was bad. Sure, some of the surf rock tunes might seem a little bit out of place, but again, it's not bad music. In the end, I like a lot of the mechanics in the game, like learning skills from enemies, exploring dungeons, and earning elemental swords. The combat and platforming is fine, it could use some smoothing out, but it still works. I enjoy getting new items to expand my skills and taking on some pretty entertaining boss fights. However, the controls could be a bit better, and the amount of frame rate drops gets pretty annoying. Plus, with how many enemies you will take on, fighting can get a bit tedious. Musashi Samurai Legend is a good game. Yes, despite the problems I have with the game, to me they are rather minor compared to what the game does well. Don't get me wrong, the game isn't anything special, but it's still very playable and I did enjoy most of the game. I can see why fans of the first game don't like this one, since there are some big changes made in the sequel, but I think it's a game that's worth giving a try. I like the visual style of the game, most of the mechanics, and most of the boss fights, which is enough for me to enjoy it. Well, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this review and found it to be rather informative. If you'd like to see more reviews, please check out my channel. And please don't forget to subscribe. And if there are any other PS2 games you'd like to see me review in the future, please leave a suggestion down below. Well, I'm MCB the PS2 Gamer, and I'll see you guys next time.